I'm glad to join you again in this next session. I'm Clovis Kabaseke, Master of Science in Agroecology and PhD Fellow in Agroecology and Food Systems. I am very passionate at teaching foundations of agroecology, like I told you the other time. And if you can remember, last time we actually covered what exactly ecology is, because we thought in order to graduate to agroecology, we need to first have an overview of what ecology is to ensure that all of us understand ecology in the same way. I remember last time we talked about ecology is the study of how living things interact with their environment and with one another. After that, we also went on to talk about the principles of ecology. We talked about the principle of interdependence, the principle of energy flow, the principle of nutrient cycling, adaptation, the principle of population dynamics, the succession, the principle of biodiversity, limiting factors, ecosystem services, and sustainability. Today, we are going to talk about types of ecology, and there are quite a number that we actually have. The various types of ecology include ecosystem ecology, physiological ecology, population ecology, community ecology, restoration ecology, forest ecology, and most importantly now for our case, agroecology. All these I'm talking about are types of ecology, and they have quite a lot about them that any scientist would actually wish to understand. Now, for us, we shall dwell mostly about agroecology. The rest have got a lot in common with agroecology, but for us, we shall specifically focus on agroecology. So for that matter, I would like us to, first of all, have a simple definition of agroecology. According to one of the important scholars called Miguel Altieri, he actually decided to define agroecology as the application of ecological principles to agriculture. This is how he defined agroecology in 1983. And when you are doing agroecology, quite often you'll actually find a lot of his writings, and he's one of the renowned scholars who has had a very big input in agroecology. Remember, we say it is the application of ecological principles to agriculture. That's what we mean by agroecology. But that's not the only definition. There are many other definitions of agroecology, but they all fall into the same precincts, the same line, except others may actually be more comprehensive or quite a lot wordy. For instance, Wessel et al. In 2009 actually defined agroecology as the integrative study of the ecology of the entire food systems, encompassing ecological, economic, and social dimensions, or simply the ecology of food systems. I'd like to repeat this one. The integrative study of the ecology of the entire food systems, encompassing ecological, economic, and social dimensions, or simply the ecology of food systems. But what is important here that I would like all of us learners to understand are these three key points of this definition. It encompasses ecological, economic, and social dimensions. Those three aspects are extremely important in agroecology. If you want to do anything, you must ensure that you understand that it is not harmful to the ecosystems, that is the ecological. You must make sure that it has the economic aspect, because money, wealth is needed, so that economic aspect must come there. Then it must be socially acceptable. You have to understand the cultural tastes. You have to understand what society exactly needs from agriculture. So for those three things, it is very important that they are addressed properly. When I'm talking about these three things, let me begin with the social perspective. When we are talking about the social perspective in agroecology, what does it mean? If you want to have agroecology that as a production system, it should fit both social and hard sciences. Excuse me. It should fit both social and hard sciences. It should be supported by a majority of small-scale farmers' organizations, social movements, women organizations, non-government organizations, and other practitioners. We actually have to consider the human health. That human health aspect is there. Because if you are actually going to agriculture, you should be very conscious that what you produce, and even the method of producing those, don't have harmful effects to human health. Not only human health, but even livestock health, and even plant health, or even soil health. All that health is very, very important. We must be sure that we can use local designs. There's local designs. I know very many people spend a lot of resources and a lot of money looking for very complicated solutions to some problems, some challenges. But usually you find that even the biggest challenge may actually have some local solutions. So in agroecology, we quite often emphasize the use of local designs to overcome some of the challenges that we meet. In agroecology, from the social perspective, we have to respect culture and family. There are many things that technology has actually disassociated production systems from the cultures and practice. For instance, there are certain cultural foods that people no longer produce like they would. If I can give an example, in many parts of Uganda, you'll find that millet is a food that is having a cultural importance. But when you look at people, farmers who are growing commercial crops, millet is never grown as a commercial crop. And you'll find that instead of producing millet, things like rice, corn, and wheat have actually taken over, when millet is a very important cultural cuisine. So we have to respect culture in agroecology, and we have to respect family. The family is the basic unit of development. But you'll find that people who go into agriculture into commercial agriculture sometimes will not care about the family and family components. For instance, in agroecology, the production system is such that even a 70-year-old woman can have some activity which she can actually perform with ease, and it keeps her feeling very relevant in this family. For instance, you can find the old woman feeding some chicken, or at least stopping the chicken from pecking on the groundnuts that are around the home. So this culture and family is very, very important. From the social perspective, agroecology advocates for food sovereignty. I want to insist on this one. I want to emphasize food sovereignty. Quite often, we always talk about food security and we leave out food sovereignty. When we are talking about food sovereignty, we should be able to make our own decisions. We should be able to judge what we want to grow, what we want to eat, how we can eat it. It should be within us. But if we think that we can depend on certain seeds and varieties that are coming from elsewhere, over which we don't have any control, just in the name of food security, we shall be compromising what we are calling food sovereignty. From the social perspective, agroecology is a knowledge-intensive discipline. People may think that everybody understands agroecology. To understand agroecology in detail, you actually need a lot of knowledge. And this is why we are now offering this knowledge to you, using the simplest terms, but trying to go into details to ensure that you actually get to understand agroecology properly. Because that interdependence, interaction, uh, 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 is not something very easy, because we have to think and act in systems. And to do that one, it requires a lot of knowledge. We have to value indigenous knowledge if we have to do agroecology in the way it is supposed to be done. We are not saying that all indigenous knowledge is very good for agroecology, but indigenous knowledge, there is some indigenous knowledge which can even be backed by science. That is extremely important. We have to value it if we are trying to do uh, agroecology. One very important thing is, in agroecology, we always observe the principle of fairness. When I'm talking about the principle of fairness, I'm talking about being fair to yourself, being fair to your neighbor, being fair to the animals, being fair to the plants. You imagine you are walking around with your sharp panga, and for no any reason you are just passing by a tree and you just cut the bark for no good reason. You are wounding the tree. Why can't you be fair to that tree? You imagine you are trying to fight for food security and you want to use herbicides or insecticides in the name of controlling pests and weeds. You have not masked your nose. You are inhaling this toxic chemical that is destroying your life. You are unfair to yourself. Imagine you have injected your cow with antibiotics because it is sick, and the next day you are milking the cow and you are selling the milk. This milk has antibiotics. You are not fair to your customers. The people who are consuming your milk, you are actually putting their lives in danger. So the principle of fairness is extremely important, and you must always think about resilience, and inclusiveness is very key in this discipline of agroecology. We need to go for a short break, but I would like us to remember that in short, agroecology is just the application of ecological practices to agriculture. We need also to remember that that is not the only definition that is there, but there are even some more comprehensive definitions, but they all fall and mean similar things. We need to understand that there are three very important things that we have to always to focus on. That is the ecological aspect, the economic aspect, and the social dimension if we have to carry out agroecology properly. My dear learners and colleagues, I would like to say that let us have a short break and we shall join from there when we are talking about the ecological perspective. We are finished with the social perspective. Thank you very much.